election in the capital suddenly has national implications. Anti-corruption campaigner Arvind Kejriwal hopes to stay on as Delhi State Minister after stunning the establishment back in 2015 when his AAP party took 67 out of 70 seats. But rather than take him on over his reforms while in office, the Hindu nationalist BJP party has instead tried to change the conversation to the protests we've witnessed over the past month and a half over the new citizenship law that critics say discriminates against Muslims. At a rally at the start of the week, the hardline chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, called for bullets, not biryani, for Muslims, accusing Kejriwal of being in bed with rival Pakistan. Earlier in the week, the prime minister himself calling the anti-citizenship law sit-ins a conspiracy with, quote, political design.
Friends, this mindset needs to be stopped immediately. If the conspirators are emboldened, then tomorrow another road, another street will be blocked by protesters. We cannot leave Delhi in this state of anarchy, and only the people of Delhi can stop this. Every vote given to BJP will have this power.
For more, let's cross to the Indian capital. Correspondent Shreya Banerjee kicks off our coverage. Shreya, we see in those images the Prime Minister himself on the campaign trail. Is this now, this election on Saturday, a referendum about Narendra Modi, or is it about the record of the reformist AAP party?
Well, the BJP have sort of changed the rhetoric completely. A lot of the campaigning, as you mentioned, by the BJP has been about trying to discredit the citizenship, those protesting the citizenship law, particularly those holding a sit-in for months in Shaheen Bagh, a mainly working-class Muslim neighborhood. Much of the BJP's rhetoric has been about trying to divide the people based on the basis of religion, hoping to consolidate its Hindu base. There have been shootings near the protest sites, and where the gunmen have yelled out Hindu nationalist slogans. This has not been condemned by BJP leaders. In fact, BJP leaders have gone so far at rallies as to talk about shooting protesters. Also, the BJP doesn't have a clear chief ministerial candidate. So in some ways, it's Modi's appeal that they're banking on, hoping that he can win them dividends in this election. Him and some of the policies that he's implemented in the recent past, including the changing the status of Kashmir, building a temple in northern India. They've even gone on to attack personally the Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, calling him a terrorist, calling the protesters and the Chief Minister the fact that they're in cahoots with Pakistan and they're all anti-national. So as we saw in the national elections, a lot of the rhetoric doesn't have a lot of substance. It's a lot of communal rhetoric. They're not talking about how to clean up Delhi's air. They're not talking about infrastructure. They're talking about Hindu-Muslim issues. The Aam Aadmi Party, which is Arvind Kejriwal's party, has been trying to focus on its record of over the past 5 years, where it's improved government schools, where it's built healthcare clinics in neighborhoods. But unfortunately, they've had to stoop to this level and respond to the personal attack instead of having any substantive debates on the issues that plague Delhi and its citizens. And in recent polls, it looks like BJP is catching up to the AAP party. So we'll find out on February 11th if the BJP's rhetoric has indeed worked, or if Kejriwal is able to stay on in Delhi.
Or whether it'll work. Arvind Kejriwal, who's been in power now for 5 years, as you say, though, he's being forced to change the conversation at this late stage of the campaign, and it's been billed as an important test for Prime Minister Modi. Will it really be, though, if he loses?
Well, it's difficult to say. I mean, the BJP party has won decisively in May in the at the national levels, and then had a string of defeats in local elections, state elections, and so they'll be looking to looking at Delhi as kind of a prize to boost their morale slightly. It's been trying to come back to power in Delhi for 21 years now. And especially with the widespread protests over the citizenship law in Delhi, they'll be hoping for some kind of referendum on that. And if they do win, they'll see that as a boost to them, see that as support for them. And if the party can will Delhi, then they will come out and say that voters have actually given them the support that they have so far lacked in local and state elections.
All right, it's just a state election, you might say, but still, Shreya, 15 million people are expected to go to the ballot box.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it is the national capital. It will be a widely watched race. 15 million people, as you said, going to the ballot box tomorrow to decide who governs them for the next 5 years. It remains to be seen whether they'll choose to go the divisive route, to support a party that's gone the divisive route, or whether they'll support a party that has tried to show that they've done something for Delhi and Delhiites in the past 5 years.
Shreya Banerjee reporting live there from the capital, New Delhi. We're going to stay there and cross over to Siddharth Bhatia now. He's founding editor of TheWire.in. Thank you for speaking with us here on France 24.
Thank you very much for having me.
We just heard our correspondent saying how this hardline rhetoric from the BJP has, to a degree, forced the incumbent reformists of the AAP to change tack, to respond to the accusations in the home stretch of the campaign. How's it looking?
Well, it's always a bit difficult to predict elections, but you have to remember that they have 67 seats, and AAP has 67 seats out of 70. They have a campaign which is solely built so far, except for a few at the end, so far built on development, on infrastructure, on providing facilities to the citizens, making their lives better. So I think it probably will have a resonance with the public, and if they don't reach that same mark, they're perhaps going to, it's going to fall quite a bit because the BJP is a powerful election machine. But I think they will scrape through with a majority. So
if we're to speak in callous terms, the citizenship law, the crackdown in Kashmir, is it a winning ticket for Narendra Modi?
So you have to understand that the Kashmir, after Kashmir, a couple of elections did take place, 3, I think, and it lost everywhere. This one, they have not gone heavily on Kashmir. They've gone more on the protests. They've not talked about the Citizenship Act as much as the protests against it, saying that the protests are motivated. They are by all kinds of anti-national elements. They are implying that they are traitors. It also saying that many of the protesters happen to be Muslims. So, the link is very clearly established. And this has a resonance with their hardcore followers and perhaps some neutral people who are fence-sitters. But still, as we have seen, emotional rhetoric, nationalism, hardline anti-minority politics does not have that much of a resonance at the state level.
And yet we heard at that campaign rally, Siddharth, the chief minister of Uttar Pradesh, a hardliner from the BJP, employing that phrase that the protesters deserve, quote, bullets, not biryani.
Yes, so he said that, and of course, this is pretty coded language. Biryani is seen to be as a Muslim dish. But the others have also said, they're a junior minister in the government, central government of finance, no less, said, go out and kill all traitors, and found that, tried to rouse the emotions of the crowd. So it's been pretty nasty, to be quite honest, and much of the nastiness has come from the BJP because they think that this has some kind of resonance. But I'm willing to stick my neck out and say that it has only limited appeal because people at the city level, at the state level, want to know how their lives can improve. And the fact is that they are saying my life has improved. So this is an abstraction of nationalism. Nobody wants to go around killing Muslims. So it's an abstraction. But in real terms, their lives have changed. So I think, I'm again saying, I think that the Aam Aadmi Party will come through with a lower but decent majority.
Siddharth, let me ask you about news coming out this Friday out of India that four prominent political leaders in Kashmir have seen their detention that's been going on since August extended under a provision of the India's Public Safety Act. They can be held for up to 2 years. They include, without trial, two former chief ministers of Jammu and Kashmir. Again, is this a story that's making headlines, or is it not that important where you are?
I'll honestly say I think Kashmir has kind of dropped off the news map, and that's really tragic because a lot of, the lives of so many people who've been shut down, whose internet is patchy, and now this two former chief ministers in jail or custody, and that too now with this draconian act for public safety. I mean, why? So yes, it has been covered, but not in the way it should have been covered, not in the way of an outrage or an outcry to say, why is this central government so adamant in applying this? They are, after all, responsible, elected politicians. So I think if you have to ask, if you are asking me directly whether there is news about it, I would say as a news person, not as much as there should be. There's a lot of other things going on in India, and this is just not making the kind of news that it ought to, because this is really, really something which is, I would say, outrageous.
You're outraged, Siddharth Bhatia. Others say, well, even those who disagree with the government, the pendulum swings in India, and it will swing back one day to the opposition.
Well, I won't say that it swing back to the opposition necessary, but I have I'm outraged about this specific thing. I see a lot of hope, and I see a lot of hope in this, not only these protests, but young people asking questions, coming out on the streets. I was at some discussion this afternoon, and people were saying, when a young person was saying that I'm arguing with my parents, that they must now change their mind. And that kind of debates has begun to happen. So I'm quite hopeful that there is a tide changing. What I would say is, in kind of larger terms, is that this country does not really like extremes. And I think we've gone to one extreme, so there will be a backlash. But think of the damage that's being done. I mean, calling your own citizens as traitors en masse is something which is going to stay in our social structure for a long time.
Siddharth Bhatia, founding editor of TheWire.in. Thank you so much for speaking with us here on France 24.